Good morning. You are tuned into The Breakfast Show on Coal City 929 FM, Radio Nigeria, Enugu. And I am your host, Ngozi Ebo. Today, we are diving into a conversation that directly affects the growth and sustainability of our communities. Building for the future. How to prevent abandoned projects. Across Nigeria, and indeed in many parts of our land, we see uncompleted roads, half-standing buildings, hospitals without equipment, and schools without roofs. These abandoned projects are more than just eyesores. They represent wasted resources, broken promises, and stalled development. But most importantly, they raise the question, how can we do better? To help us unpack this, I am joined by two distinguished guests. First, we have Town Planner Emmanuel Chike Asadu, Chairman of the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, Enugu State Chapter, and a Fellow of the Nigeria Institute of Town Planners. He brings decades of professional expertise in urban planning, project management, and governance. We also have with us Udochukwu Egwim, Head of Programs at the South Saharan Social Development Organization, SSDO, Nigeria. He works directly with communities to ensure that development projects truly meet the needs of the people and are sustained over time. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
I want to thank you immensely for inviting me for this topic.
Thank you.
Let me begin with you, Town Planner Asadu. When we talk about abandoned projects, some people immediately think of government contracts left unfinished, while others see it in community-level initiatives that just didn't take off. From your professional lens as a town planner and leader in APBN, what are the root causes of project abandonment in our environment?
Thank you very much for this question. The root causes of abandoned projects in our environment can be seen from different perspectives. One, something like a change in government can make the project to be abandoned, especially in our political era, where if there is change in the party, that is at the center, well, some projects started can be abandoned. Also, we have change in prices of commodities like rods, cement. These commodities, they keep on changing the prices, and then it can affect the project that has already been started. Another thing is lack of public participation. That is what we call top-down approach or bottom-up approach. When you talk of bottom-up approach, that is people participate in their own projects. You carry them along from the planning to the execution or the finishing. But when you talk of top-down, where the government can just bring in projects, not finding out whether the people need it or not, they can just put it there, and at the end of the day, it will not work. Another thing is lack of feasibility studies. Feasibility studies should be carried out in doing some projects in some areas, not that just see projects and then you want to cite it. You have to look at the feasibility studies, the workability, the raw materials, and then what have you around that area. If you don't carry the feasibility studies, then the project is bound to fail. It's bound to be abandoned at the end of the day.
This is quite revealing. Now, beyond identifying the causes, the real challenge is prevention. In your view, what kind of planning, monitoring, and accountability frameworks should be put in place at the design stage to make sure projects don't just start, but are actually completed and functional?
Yeah, the kind of framework that should be put in place from design stage to make sure that the projects do not just start, but completed at the end of the day. Like I said earlier, public participation is very, very important. Let the people tell you what they want, carry them along from the onset, the planning to the execution to the finishing stages, so that they will look at that project as their own, and then they will always guard the projects. Another thing is you have to engage professionals. Engagement of professionals at this level is very, very important. The professionals will be able to guide the people, show them what to do, how to do it, and then try to help them execute it. Another thing is setting of committees. When you identify the project, there should be, more especially when it's government-owned one or community-owned one. When the project is identified, one is that there should be committees that should be set up. The project committee should be set up, finance committee, purchase committee, monitoring committee. All those committees should be set up in the area so that these people will now be the people that will be executing the projects at any level, at any stage that they are required. It's very, very important.
Let me bring you in here, Udochukwu. You work closely with communities through SSDO, and many times the projects that fail are the ones that don't really connect with the people's actual needs. From your experience, how important is community involvement in preventing abandoned projects?
So we've worked with several communities through the SSDO, and many times we've also noticed that some projects fail. Why do they fail? Because they actually do not connect with the people. There is what we call people-led projects. There's what we call people-led community projects, community-led. So that has been the angle which we've now decided to tilt our programs towards. In the past, people do just stay in their offices, stay in their countries and decide programs and projects for communities. But this has also shown very high failure rates. And now what we do is what we call community-led needs assessment. So we go to the communities as an organization and gather the stakeholders, key stakeholders involving men, women, youth, and children, and have like town hall meetings, stakeholder engagements to have them decide what will work, how it will work, and how to execute these projects alongside with them. So this prevents abandoned projects. Where most of these projects have failed or have been abandoned is as a result of not involving these community members. So it's very important to carry community along. It's very important to engage them from the onset and engage them throughout the project, close out the project with them, disseminate the project results. From dissemination of the project results, you also learn failed where you can do better. So that is one key reason why projects fail, because they are not community-led.
That's powerful. But sometimes communities are consulted at the beginning and still projects collapse along the way. What mechanisms or strategies can communities themselves use to hold stakeholders accountable throughout the life cycle of a project?
One of the key mechanisms to hold project managers accountable for projects, especially to ensure that these projects don't fail. So for community members, one of the key things to do is at the onset of the project, at the onset, the planning phase of the project, to ensure that this project is well defined. Let community members have a very clear understanding of this project. Let it be very clear. Let it be made clear to them that this is the scope of the project. Let there be very clarity of the scope of the project. This will ensure that the projects don't fail. It will ensure that there is a shared understanding of what the project is supposed to take care of, and the reach, the size, the scope, the finances involved. All these are supposed to be made transparent. Now, when these projects fail, the community members, the community key stakeholders have key information about the project, about the project managers, about the source of funding. For instance, there was a project that was implemented somewhere in Abuja some time ago, and it's a water project, a borehole project, and this project failed. But because the community members had the information of the donors, they reached out to the donor and said, see, this project has failed. And the donors called back the organization that implemented, and the organization got the contractor to fix the issue. So that is how community members can ensure that they hold stakeholders accountable throughout the life cycle of the project, be it a private or a non-profit project, be it a government project. I think what they should do is that before the inception of this project, every detail about the project should be made clear. That as the planning phase should be inclusive.
Well, if you're joining us on Breakfast Show, we are talking about building for the future. How to prevent abandoned projects with guests, Town Planner Emmanuel, Chike, Asadu, and Udochukwu Egwim. Now, Town Planner Asadu, Another layer to this conversation is the role of professional bodies like APBN and FNITP. What role can these institutions play in advocating for and enforcing standards that discourage project abandonment?
Thank you very much. You are asking about the role of professional bodies like APBN in Enugu State, what role they can play. The role of APBN or the professional body, APBN is the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria. We have about 35 professional bodies that come together and make up APBN. We have engineers, town planners, architects, state valuers, surveyors, medical doctors, pharmacists, lab scientists, veterinary doctors. The professional bodies, we are 35 in Enugu State. And then their roles cannot be overemphasized. Any type of project, just name it, you will find the professional there. So you can easily make use of them. We are redundant even in Enugu State. We are underutilized. So professional advice is very, very important in projects so that the projects will not be abandoned. That is one. Two is that you should engage the professionals in all the stages so that you don't miss anything. Every project needs a professional. So in every stage, you have to engage them. They are there.
And Udochukwu, let's talk sustainability. Beyond simply finishing a project, how do we ensure that schools, hospitals, skill centers, and other community infrastructure remain in use and maintained years down the line?
So talking about sustainability, there's a saying that goes, if you fail to plan for tomorrow, you have planned to fail tomorrow. So sustainability is a very key aspect that has been forgotten, that has been overlooked in project management and in project implementation, which is a very key aspect of this. I visited the Secretariat of Delta State Secretariat some time ago, and I was told, when I was impressed by the outlook of the place and the management of the place, I was told that they had, I think, about 15 or 20 years deal with the contractors of that project to maintain this project. So they come periodically, they climb up with scaffolds, clean the walls, maintain the buildings, fix up the plumbing. That is sustainability. So one of the key challenges that we have in our country is that when projects are completed and is being commissioned and all the fanfare is being done, people clap and go and they think that the project has ended there. No. So from the onset, during the planning phase, during the inception phase, it should be part of the project life cycle. Sustainability should be a very key part of the life cycle. It should be planned for, it should be budgeted for. There should be a timeline of sustenance. There should be clear roles of who manages what. For instance, we constructed a borehole somewhere in Ahalumana in Nonsoka local government, and that borehole has run for 5 to 6 years now, currently running more than 5 years. By just without our input, what happened? We developed what we call washcoms, water sanitation and hygiene committees, and we put them in charge of this borehole. We made it a community-led project. From the onset, we handed over this project to community, made them take ownership, and it's still running today. That is one way of ensuring projects are sustained.
If you both were to give a message to policymakers and the general public about building for the future, what would be your top recommendation to end the culture of abandoned projects in the land? Town Planner Asadu.
Yeah, if I'm to give a message to policymakers and then the general public about building for the future, my recommendation should be that there should be a regulatory body. There should be a regulatory body regularizing the prices of commodities like cement, raws, shippings, all those materials to be regulated. Then, secondly, this top-down approach, where you carry the people along in the planning, that is public participation, is very, very important. Carry the people along, let them look at the project as their own, and then they will always protect it. And this other one is that you have to engage professionals, the right professionals. You know, we have quacks here and there, and all of them are claiming to be professionals. Make sure you engage the right professionals in that area. I think if these things are put in place I think issue of abandonment of projects should be reduced drastically. And then when we are putting up projects, more especially the government, try to find out from the masses, from the community, from the people, kind of project that they want. Some may need water, some may need roads, some may need schools. And then if they need school and then you bring water, I'll be rest assured that project may be abandoned. Thank you very much.
Udochukwu.
One key message to policymakers and to the government of the day and even the government of Nigeria as a whole is to ensure that projects are built to be sustained and projects are community-led, they are people-led, they are community-led. Let's not just plan things without commitment, without involvement of the actual people that we are taking these projects to. There are some key ideas of the how-to, of the why, of the where that is important. If you are to site a borehole, for example, if you are to site a school, if you are to site a market for a community, their involvement is very key. There are some key lessons you will learn by interacting with them. So it should be community-led. They are the ones that will give you the key methods of sustenance that we are trying to work on stopping open defecation in Enugu State. And one of the key ways we've actually used is the use of community security, which we call vigilante, to curb the menace of open defecation. And this is applicable in many other spheres, in many other sectors. So if we get community members involved, we'll get them to help in the planning, help in the assessment, help in the monitoring, help in sustaining this project. So my key message to policymakers is do not leave the beneficiaries behind. Don't leave them behind and wait for the final launch of the project. Involve them from the onset and continue to involve them till after the project.
Okay, thank you so much, Town Planner Emmanuel Chike Asadu, Chairman of the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, Enugu State Chapter, and a Fellow of the Nigeria Institute of Town Planners, and Udochukwu Egwim, Head of Programs at the South Saharan Social Development Organization, Nigeria, for sharing your insights today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's clear that preventing abandoned projects, it's not just about money. It's about planning, accountability, community ownership, and the political will to see things through. For our listener, the conversation doesn't end here. Look around your community. Find out what projects have been left unfinished and discover what role you can play in ensuring that the next one is different. Together, let's build a solid and sustainable future. All right, that's it on Breakfast Show, Call City 929 FM, Radio Nigeria, Enugu. Producers, Jude Obu and Anayo Egere. A supervisor has been the General Manager, Call City FM, Kate Nebo. Executive Producer, Zonal Director, Radio Nigeria, Enugu National Station, Dr. Udochukwu Egwim. I am your presenter, Ngozi Ebo.